Hello, so I'm doing my self-reflection 1. If you see me looking at my computer over here with just like the prompts, and then I also have some notes. So if you see me looking down or over to the side, it's because I have some notes and some prompts I'm going to follow because I looked at these questions beforehand. So going on to question 1, rate your overall professionalism for the week. So you're going to choose one of the expectations down below that embody the first 3 weeks of the course, and I would say I embody the developing student one, even though I have a teacher mindset right now and a teacher mindset throughout all of the education, taking classes, doing coursework. I feel like I've been developing constantly and being really open and trying to think like a student and a teacher both ways, but I'm not quite the teacher level yet because I feel like I need more field experience and more like practice in the classroom, and I feel like I've been developing being open-minded, that sort of stuff, through the whole first few weeks of this course. So yeah. And then moving on to question number 2, provide at least 3 pieces of specific evidence. So the first piece is, how many assignments have you completed the best of your abilities in weeks 1, 2, and 3? So I've actually completed mostly all of them to the best of my abilities. I've turned them all on time, all hours before the deadline. I like to submit my assignments and work on them before and then just work on them over time, and I'm very organized, so I like to not do things at the last minute. It kind of stresses me out. And and then some assignments that I know I did my best work on was the Phil Jardo video, Sarah Rand's video, and then the reading about Never Say Anything a Kid Can Say. I think this is because I did the best on them and did like my best work because they were so interesting and so applicable to my own life, and that's why those just assignments stuck out the most to me. And then, how many of the reading reflections have you given your best effort to read, comprehend, or discuss prior to class? So I haven't really discussed any of the like readings and reflections before class. I really only discussed them in our breakout room. So I would say discussion before class has been kind of lackluster, but like I've been definitely reading and comprehending the information, especially with the reflections we do. I always read the questions, and then that kind of gives me points to look out forward in the book when I read, and just gives me like insight of what I should really pay attention to. And then pick the third piece of evidence that describes my professionalism. I would say dedication, willingness, dedication and willingness go together. Like dedicated to doing my work, learning more, asking questions, being able to take concept and feedback from other people, and then also my like willingness to have an open mind. I think those two go hand in hand. And then also organization. I think that is a key piece of evidence that describes professionalism, and as a teacher you have to be very organized, you have to grade assignments in timely fashion. So I think that really just describes my professionalism, and one thing that gets me through is having a planner. Planner is my life, so I'll definitely use that as a future teacher. Then moving on to one of the other questions, complete the 4-2-1 reflection. Select one quote or big idea from each, and what has made the most impact on you as a future math teacher. So one was from Never Say Anything a Kid Can Say, and it's to ask good questions. The big idea is to ask good questions, allow students to struggle, and place responsibility for learning directly on their shoulder. And then this plays into another assignment, just to like listen to students and gain insights. And then, so I'm looking at the other reflections on my computer. So the principles to action. One thing that really stuck out to me was I was in the tools and tech page, so just how tools and technology have changed over time, and how it's so important for students to use technology in the right way, and not the big idea I learned is like to make sure your assignments are not Googleable, or like make sure they don't type in the words word for word. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then one thing I also thought was interesting was like how calculators have changed over time. And then moving on to the number sense reading reflection. So the term I investigated was Relationality, and this was a new concept to me because I've never really heard this word before, and it's the number of elements in a set or other groups as a property of grouping. And what I found that was really cool is I learned this in elementary school and I had no idea what it was. So it's like basically when you count a group of objects, the last number you say tells how many there are. So I learned through this assignment in number sense and just like expanding my knowledge on it and like how many different examples and ways and different visuals you can use to teach us in the classroom. So I just like learned more about the concept of number sense and like how it's used in everyday life, and I didn't even notice it. And moving on to the last reading reflection, which was what we discussed in class, and it was describe one example. The question, describe one example when you have seen these ideas being taught in a K-6 classroom. And that was when my teacher was doing group, pair, share in small groups, and then in big groups, and then did a classroom discussion. So I just thought those concepts were really good, and the big idea was just to incorporate students as best as you can, and just to make connections always, and connections from the real world to class experiences, and the kids will absorb that knowledge so much better than they would just a regular assignment. And completing the rest of the 421, 2 questions you still have about these concepts. So one question was how to teach multiple ways of math to students if it's the same concept, and knowing kind of like which way is the right way, or how to teach them differently but not too similar, if that makes sense. Like I think of this in Common Core a lot. And then the second way is to how to make math applicable to everyday life, and just how to make math fun, because that's something I struggle with, because math is a lot of numbers to me. And then one extra question, is it okay to use competitions in the classroom? Like for multiplication facts, division facts, is that okay to do like class competitions? Because we did that in my elementary school, but that was just a question I had. And then one ways new ideas as impact will impact you as a future teacher. So I'm going to hit on the fact that from what I talked about and the big idea of never say anything a kid can say, and this like new idea and concept will allow me to promote deeper learning in the students, and that's been a topic we've talked about all semester, is to get below surface level and ask questions. And on our last reflection article, some ways I said to promote deeper thinking is to like maybe have the students think of a response from a different perspective or point of view, and make sure you're asking questions that are not simple like one-word answers, and beyond like definitions, and ask why and how, and make sure you can guess kids' responses and make your own misconceptions in the classroom before you teach, so that way you can understand like a student's knowledge more. So I think I answered all of them. This is really long, but thanks for listening to my self-response.